Excuse me. 480. Go.
There are hundreds of dating coaches, pickup artists, and red pill gurus who claim to be able to help you attract women. But the truth is, a lot of them, they have no game whatsoever. And on the sidelines, they're dating or even have married some 2 out of 10 below average, overweight, old single mother, Donovan Sharp. Uh, and they actually practice the exact opposite of what they preach. That is the sad reality. But there are a handful of guys out there who are legit and who do give useful advice based on real life experience that can actually help you. And the purpose of this series is to separate the guys in those two categories, to go over the infield footage of different coaches approaching women and to break it down and show you which ones are legit and which ones secretly suck. Now, I know you might be wondering, who is this guy? Why should I trust him? I have hours and hours and hours of infield footage on my channel and in my courses, including taking girls home, taking a fitness model home, taking an Instagram model home. I don't just show numbers, I show complete polls all the way from opening to taking the girl home. And you can click the link below to learn more about that. But I'm someone who actually walks the walk. I don't just talk the talk. I have more infield on my channel than most of the guys that I'm reviewing. So I want to make it clear that I'm not just some guy who like is watching the basketball players on the couch saying, you know, he should have actually you don't fucking know shit, right? I'm not one of those guys. But with that said, in this video, we're going to be looking at James Tusk versus Austen Summers, two dating coaches that are, you know, medium popular, you could say. They're not hundreds of thousands of subscribers, but they're also not, you know, guys who only have like 1,000 who no one's heard of either. But the truth is, one of them is far, far better than the other. And in this video, you're going to see why.
I saw you and I was like, I have to take my chance. I was walking with my friend and I just saw you strutting, looking like a strawberry. And I was like, okay, let me go and see if she's Russian. She's probably going to speak no English.
All right, so what I like about this is James Tusk is leading the conversation. He is taking full responsibility to get her to start reacting to him. What a lot of guys do is they approach and they say like one short line and then it's quiet and then they scramble to think of something else to say and then it gets awkward very, very quickly. But James is taking full responsibility. He said, you know, a whole paragraph because the girl isn't really giving him, she's not like jumping to start the conversation. So he's taking the lead. He's taking the responsibility until she actually is hooked, until she's genuinely like invested in the conversation a little bit, which is sometimes exactly what you have to do. And also, he's doing a great job at committing. He's showing strong intent. He's not half-assing this approach. What a lot of guys do is they approach in a way where they want the girl to reject them. On an emotional level, they're like, well, if she stops, I don't know what I would do. It's overwhelming. I don't want that. I actually secretly, even though I wouldn't admit it to myself, I want her to keep walking. I want her to blow me off. And you can tell based on the body language, the vocal tonality, even the things he says, that he wants to get rejected. But here you can tell James has strong intent and he actually is committing as opposed to half-asking and basically rejecting himself, which is what a lot of guys do.
Russian. You look Russian though. You had the resting bitch face of all Russian girls. They all look like they've eaten a sour lemon.
And so this is a great example of how all the things that we hear in the mainstream, the, you know, the classic rom-com kind of stuff is not true, right? What he said there is kind of mean. And he's kind of pushing it in terms of a tease early in the interaction. If you say something that's overtly rude, she might just say fuck off and not want to talk to you. But the way he said it, the way he said that she has a resting bitch face is clearly not meant to be hurtful, right? It's meant to be playful. And that's the biggest difference. It's not just about what you say. Obviously, if you call a girl fat or something, I mean, good luck. I mean, if she's super skinny, it could actually work. But I digress. Even if you're saying something that sounds mean on the surface, if you say it in a playful way, it'll usually get a good reaction. It'll get laughter, flirtation, those kinds of things. Whereas if you say it too seriously, or you say it in a way that sounds like I'm trying to get a reaction out of you, I need your validation, then it will get a bad reaction.
Compliment.
Well, you look pretty. You look better with the glasses off than on, I think. What's your name? Because it's too loud.
Right, he doesn't get stuck on that, which is another mistake a lot of guys would make, is that she gave a little bit of a challenging reaction and then they get stuck. They need to explain it further and further, and that just starts to come across as very low status. And then what James does, which is really good, another one of the main things that guys fail to do is take the lead, right? So he's moving her to a different area, away from the loud music, away from the middle of the street, and it's taking the lead and it's getting her to naturally fall into the follower role. I said that weird, the follower role, or basically a submissive role, which I know that sounds very anti-feminist, but in terms of sexual escalation, in terms of sexual polarity, attraction, any of those kinds of things, most women are going to want the man to take the lead. They're not going to do the approach. They're not going to lean in for the kiss first. They're not going to make the first sexual comments or any of those kinds of things. They want the man to take the lead. And so many men are just too afraid to do that. They think that would make them toxically masculine or some bullshit. And so they don't do it. And then they don't get the girl because she's waiting for him. She's like, all right, well, are you a bitch or are you a man? Because if you're a man and you like me, you would make a move. You would take the lead. And so many guys fail to do that.
She's literally started, as soon as she started talking to you, she started playing straight away really loudly. James, nice to meet you. Firm handshake. So tell me about you. You're from... I always get the name of this place wrong.
Poland.
Of course. It's spelled in English,
You're so
Roclaw.
handsome, I don't know what to say.
Really? Have I caught you?
All right, black pill moment. By the way, I mean, this guy is very good looking, which as a dating coach, he kind of has to make up for that by being extremely good, right? If you already have the looks and that kind of stuff down, you already have that advantage, then your game should be on another level to show that you have something to offer other than that surface level advantage, right? And it is an advantage. It does make a difference. Some girls, if you're really good looking, are going to react like this. Even if you're not really good looking, some will, but it happens more the better looking you are, the taller you are, and the better shape that you're in, the better you take care of your grooming and all that kind of stuff. But this guy who is objectively, by society standards, much better looking than average, despite that, he also has rejection compilations on his channel, which I respect a lot. Any coach who puts rejection compilations is definitely a cut above the ones who don't, because a lot of guys want to make it look like they never get rejected. They only have success. They're only showing the highlight reels. And James does show himself getting rejected, which largely disproves the whole black pill mentality that it's all about looks. Because yes, occasionally a girl will react like this in his infield, but that's pretty rare. Right? That's not something you see in a lot of his infield. What you do see a lot is instant rejections, despite him being tall, in good shape, good looking, etc. So if you want to say it's all about looks, and if you're good looking, it always works, this clip might prove that in your mind, but just watch his rejection compilations and you'll see that that is not the whole picture.
Am I making you blush? Am I making you blush? Oh look, you're going red like your t-shirt. So tell me, where are you from?
Excuse me. I was back there looking at some like psychedelic art. Then I saw you walk by in your romper, I guess.
Yeah.
Thought you looked quite adorable.
Thank you.
Want to say hi?
Hi.
What's your name? I'm actually getting a romper on Tuesday to...
All right, so Austen is, no offense if you end up watching this, but he's not nearly as good looking or tall as James Tusk, yet he still has plenty of infield where girls react to him and instantly hook despite that. So I think that's it shows that, yes, if you have looks, that's great, but, and he's not bad looking or ugly. There's plenty of, I'll put a list below just because I know people are going to bring this up. I'll put a list of coaches that are objectively, short, not good looking, that have plenty of proof that girls react well to them. But there's a pretty big gap between the two, right? Austen Summers maybe is a little bit above average looking, whereas James Tusk is, Chad Light. I don't know, who fits into what term, but he's much better looking by society standards. And despite that, Austen has better receipts on his channel. Like he shows actually pulling girls, making out, stuff like that, whereas I've never seen that on James's channel. And you can notice right away, what is the big difference between the two? Vocal tonality. Now, James Tusk, there's nothing wrong with his vocal tonality. He sounds confident. He sounds solid. There's nothing bad about it. But the way Austen is talking, he's a lot more resonant. I said resident, but I don't know why that's a hard word for me to say, but he's a lot more resonant and he speaks with more emotion, right? He has more of an impact in the way he's speaking. And that makes a big difference, right? He's speaking with more passion, more energy, as opposed to being kind of, I wouldn't say that James Tusk sounds repressed, but fairly neutral, right? Pretty normal. Whereas Austen has a lot more energy in the way he's speaking, which is going to draw the girl in.
Yeah, let's move away from this. I'm actually getting a romper on Tuesday to film a funny video with. Because, like, how often do you see a guy?
Funny enough, he does the same thing where he leads right away. He's moving the girl somewhere right away. As soon as she seems to be receptive, she's giving him a positive reaction. He moves her, he takes the lead. That is very, very key. And I know a lot of people watching this who think, you know, their game is perfect, yet they can't get any girls because their looks, because whatever. A lot of them just are not taking the lead.
Hopefully never.
Are you from Ireland? What the fuck?
I'm exchange student. I'm just here for the weekend.
So he starts talking about the romper because she has a romper. So he is making this chain of associations in his head, which makes a very organic, natural conversation that generally is more interesting than if you rely on a script, which is what a lot of pickup guys want to do, because there's this fantasy of the idea of I can just memorize a script and say the same things every time and it'll work. But sadly, it rarely plays out like that. And developing the ability to just randomly come up with something interesting based on what the girl says is a lot better.
Here for the weekend.
Have you forgotten where you're from?
No, I just wanted to explain it to you.
Yeah, sure. Please.
Near to the sea
Okay.
of Poland.
Like, I don't know Polish geography, but...
Okay, so that's not a problem.
But is it a big city or a small place?
Small place.
Okay, sure. I'm from London. We came to Krakow for like 5 days, and then we come here until Friday. Just to see, because we heard it was a beautiful...
Like a holiday.
Yeah, kind of. I had some work to do in Krakow and then Warsaw, but this is the holiday part. But we heard it was a beautiful place, so we wanted to see.
So do you like it here?
Yeah, it's nice so far.
So,
it reminds me a bit of Germany.
I mean, I bet a lot of people are clicking off the video right now because this is kind of boring, right? It's very neutral. It's kind of interviewee. But here's the thing. Is that ideal? No, it could be a little bit more interesting, more witty. It could be going to topics that have more emotion. That would be better, but it's still good enough. And that's important to be aware of. Like, the girl hooked, and as soon as the girl is receptive, she wants him to stay more than she wants him to leave. As soon as you reach that point, you don't necessarily have to be on a Russell Brand level of wit, right? You don't have to be like a stand-up comedian always thinking of some fancy, cool thing to say. It's great if you can, and that's a skill you want to develop over time, but just not running out of things to say, being able to keep the conversation going, and then focusing on the nonverbals. You can tell he's holding strong eye contact. You focus on that, and that will be good enough as long as you make sure to take the lead, as long as you make sure to move things forward and not just let it stall out in a 30-minute conversation that goes nowhere. So yes, it could be better, but it's really not bad. It's not something I would critique as like he's doing a terrible job and he's losing attraction. It's fine. It's good enough.
This looks, yeah, the sort of way you drink it looks a bit German.
Because the city was German.
Really? Ah, this makes sense. So what do you do here? Are you working or student?
I'm studying.
I don't know what that was.
What's
The
your,
last year of dietetics.
how did you say? Dietetics. What is this?
Dietetics?
I don't know. No, I don't know. What is?
Human nutrition.
Human nutrition. So you make people in good shape. You can give me advice on the gym.
Kind of.
What I should eat for the gym.
Okay, interesting little mix. Not much to do, or even hiking, or what?
Hiking, Netflix.
Netflix. Just stay inside.
Yeah, really, you can't do anything there. That's why I travel the weekend.
Chef's Table on Netflix. Best thing ever. You're traveling with your school, or what?
No, I'm traveling alone.
Oh my God, you're so brave. How do you do it?
I just
So you can see that the way Austen is communicating is a lot more engaging right away, right? Like it's just noticeably more emotional, more impactful, and he speaks in a way that's more resonant, which just draws your attention. And if you pay attention, the girl is also being more expressive in reaction to him, right? She's being more flirty and playful in the way she talks. Now, obviously, there's cultural differences. I'm not saying that it's entirely, we can't look at 100 different interactions, get every different example. But in general, this is something you'll notice that happens when you are expressive, when you are sexual, when you are dominant, or when you are closed off and repressed. Women will generally reflect that. Their own personality is obviously going to vary it to some degree, but a lot of the way they'll react to you is based on what you give them. And a lot of guys who think that women are just not sexual, women are, they're not playful, it's always hard to keep the conversation going, they're boring, these kinds of things. I don't know how to say this without sounding mean, but it's because they're interacting with them in a way that is boring, repressed, etc. Right? They're bringing out that side of their personality, and you can see the difference. You can watch more of their infield, but you can see the difference in the way someone like Austen Summers, or another good example would be Tay Social, the way they get women to react, because they have a lot of emotion, a lot of energy, a lot of charisma in themselves. It causes the women to also open up more and be more engaging and more interesting as well.
Book a flight, go on a plane, and be in the city.
Oh, so crazy. Where do I go?
To Santa Monica, to go on the metro, to go to Staples Center because I watched the Lakers game in the evening.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Are you going to a Lakers game?
Yeah.
Are you playing or no?
No, it's just American people watch sports, so I've seen
so
ice hockey, I've seen football, basketball is missing, so we'll watch basketball tonight.
Okay. And then you leave tomorrow morning?
Tomorrow morning I'll go to and...
So that line, you could say, is a little bit dorky, right? Saying, are you playing? It's a little bit cheesy, right? And that's true. Not a big deal, right? It's not a big deal. He doesn't, if you self-judge yourself and you're like, fuck, that line wasn't very good. Because if you are free associative, occasionally you're going to say something that doesn't land. Occasionally you're going to say something you're like, fuck, that was a little cringe. It happens to me. It happens to everyone. It'll happen less and less over time, but it's not a big deal, right? Occasionally you're going to say something that's a little goofy. And if anything, if they make fun of you, as long as you go with it and don't get reactive and don't get defensive, it's fine. It's not a big deal.
At about 4, I have to be at the airport.
What are you doing tonight?
What should I have if I don't when I go
You
to the
have everything.
when I go to the gym, I like to go with just drinking coffee. No eat. Is this okay?
No.
No? Well, what do I do instead? What shall I have instead of this?
I'm sorry.
What shall I have instead? What?
I'm just surprised.
Why? What are you surprised?
All right, so she's super into him, super receptive. This is the best reaction you could possibly get, right? Like, this is a 10 out of 10 in terms of a positive reaction. And so all you have to do is not screw it up. All you have to do is not mess it up by doing something that is just way over the top, too aggressive, or not moving it forward at all. Like, this will lead somewhere. And to be fair, that's easier said than done. So many guys, when a girl is a yes girl, she's receptive, she's picking up what you're putting down. Even though that is the case, they will royally screw it up by not moving it forward, by not inviting her on a date, by not, taking her to get coffee, taking her to get a smoothie, and then inviting her back to your place to make something happen. And so I would say already, he should be mentioning, hey, let's get coffee, right? He should be taking her on an instant date, finding out if she's free. It seems like she's free. Find out if she's busy right now. And if she's not busy, take her on an instant date so then he can then pull her. Or if it turns out she is busy, she has to meet someone in 30 minutes or whatever, then get her number and make solid plans for a date later. But we'll see if he ends up doing that.
Why?
Why you?
Why? What's surprising?
Okay, this is good too. He's getting her to invest because she's like, because she's being very flirty. She's clearly enamored with him. Like, why are you surprised? Which is giving her the opportunity to now basically qualify him, to basically compliment him and talk about why she likes him, why she's into him, which is really, really useful because it's causing her to not just feel that she likes him, but to also make the logical association as to why she likes him and to be more invested.
You're here with your friends?
You're,
I see.
you're coming back from university.
Now, she didn't bite, but that'll happen sometimes.
From home.
What do you do today?
Send a letter to my mother.
Is this not your other boyfriend in Poland?
No, I don't have.
You don't have? Okay. Would you like a new one?
Of course I do.
Oh, really? You're going to come to London with me? You're only small. I can put you in my suitcase and then wheel you back.
So let's go.
Yeah, you want to go? What do you do today?
So another cheesy line, but not a big deal. It's okay. One thing I do want to mention is she seems to me like she wants to be pulled, or at least she wants things to be moving forward. I'm getting that impression. It's something that, through having done thousands of approaches, you just kind of can feel it. I have that feeling about this. I have that intuition very, very strongly, and yet he's not doing that yet, which I don't know why. He should be moving it forward, moving her to a coffee shop, moving her to smoothie, just taking her on a walk, doing something to move it forward, as opposed to getting stuck in a long conversation in the initial place, which will eventually start to fizzle out.
Or tonight?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Would you like to come for a drink?
I don't know.
Do you have WhatsApp or Viber or something like that?
Okay, so she said she wasn't busy right now. She said, I don't know, but that's very different than no. And then he says, would you like to come for a drink? And girls sometimes, clearly she's into him, right? It's pretty obvious, but they don't necessarily want to seem too easy, too slutty, especially in some cultures more than others. Apparently this is in Poland, and that would be somewhere that is more traditional, where girls are more worried about seeming that way, right? About that kind of judgment. And the way she said, I don't know, giggling, ha ha ha, that sounds like he should be making an assertive move and saying, hey, let's go do it, right? Actually taking the lead and making it happen. And there's a 95% chance she would be down if he did that. But he's just moving down a step to go for the number. And look, numbers are still great. The chances are, as invested as this girl seems to be, it's very likely she'll meet him for a date. But if you have the opportunity in the moment, that's always the most likely option, right? You're not competing with the other guys hitting her up on dating apps, the other thoughts she might have going through her head where she's like, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. You have the most leverage in the moment. You're the most persuasive while you're actually with someone. So there's no reason not to take the lead right then and there.
What?
Just a what? Do you have WhatsApp, Viber?
What?
Do you have WhatsApp?
WhatsApp, yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. So I take your number and then later we go for a drink.
Or you take mine.
I watched the Lakers game.
What are you doing after that?
There is a free drinks party at my hostel, I guess.
Fuck that. Come out, it's Sunday night, W. You know the W? No. Where are you staying?
In Hollywood.
It's in Hollywood. It's called Jazz Night. So it's basically you go up to this rooftop bar at the W, and it's you can see all of Hollywood.
Okay.
They play jazz music and popular tunes, and then there's dancers that dance to it. It's all free, and cool. They have couches outside, or beds and shit outside where you can just relax and see the view.
That's cool.
Yeah, I could invite you if you want, but
So the hotel is called the W?
The W, yeah, it's the giant W in Hollywood. You've seen it.
I haven't seen it now.
You've been wearing these sunglasses. You've been oblivious. All right, so do you have a American number or?
I do, yeah.
Okay, I'll take your American number, not your Austrian number.
It's better.
Yeah, you can just fill out the short form, and I'll be with you.
Is it a private party or?
No, it's public. You should get there around 10. Okay. Yeah. I don't think we even introduced her. Austen.
Hi, Austen.
It was lovely meeting you. I'll give you a hug goodbye. Enjoy your Lakers game. Try to play if you can. Ask them. All right.
So everything Austen does is making more of a memory for the girl, is more memorable, is more interesting, more emotionally engaging compared to James Tusk, which is a lot more normal and standard. And he's kind of coasting on the fact that the girl he approached finds him physically attractive. For some girls, they'll just be receptive because, they just broke up with their boyfriend and they're looking for revenge. Maybe they're ovulating, whatever. For whatever reason, you might just be their type, or they might be very receptive to an approach regardless of everything else not being particularly good or even you not being good looking. But you're going to have a lot higher percentage of girls that don't just flake, that actually see you again, or that will follow your lead and actually go home with you when you're more engaging, like Austen Summers, right? Even the way that he asked for her number, it had more personality to it, right? He is expressing his authentic, unique personality. That sounds a little cheesy to me, but that is what it is. His interaction has more soul to it, would be a way to put it, as opposed to being kind of just a little safe. James Tusk, he's not doing anything particularly bad, but it's a little bit safe. It's a little bit standard. And the chances of the girl remembering this girl, I mean, she's all over him, just like clearly smitten by his like looks, by those kinds of things. But in general, when James doesn't approach that way, the chances of her remembering it and playing it back in her head are a lot lower than compared to the way that Austen Summers approaches girls, where she's going to remember that as an event, right? It's something that's going to be played in her head again and again. And that drastically reduces the chances that you'll get flaked. If you get flaked a lot, that's probably why. Because she's been approached by relatively nice, relatively cool guys plenty of times who don't really do anything interesting or unique, but it's very rare for a girl to be approached the way that Austen approached her. And when you do that, you will get flaked so much less. If that's one of your bigger issues, that's what you want to work on, is making an impression that causes her to replay the interaction in her mind after it happened.
Just
Yeah, I take your number, obviously. I'm the guy, I have to...
No, don't do this. Don't do this.
Why? What's wrong with this? I think you're attractive. You also have beautiful eyes. You seem like a nice girl.
I'm not this kind of girl.
All right, so he's leaning in to kiss her.
What? You're not a girl with beautiful
I'm
eyes?
not so easy.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
look.
still right in the cheek.
Right, cheek is okay, look. That's not bad. And you can
A little awkward to me.
Okay.
You're sweet.
So yeah, let's go for a drink later. I'm here till Friday, but I'd love to take you out. You seem like a nice girl.
I have to think about it.
Sure, I'll send you a message. And
Now she goes to I have to think about it because he over-escalated. Now, most guys don't escalate enough. The majority of guys, especially guys who watch pickup content, whenever I'm doing coaching, the most common issue is guys don't escalate at all, right? They don't move things forward enough and they're too reserved. They play it too safe. But what he's doing here is over-escalating. Like he's going for the makeout in public, which is really not ideal. I mean, look, if it clearly the look in her eyes, she's like giving you the please kiss me eyes. You can't see from here, but if she's giving you that look and like very comfortable being super close to you and you've already been a little bit physical and you escalate up to it, it could happen. It's not the craziest thing in the world, but you don't need to do it, first of all. And second of all, a lot of girls are going to think this is just too weird, right? It's just too outside of their frame of reality. This is something only a slut would do. Why is he being so physical so fast? It's hard to relate to. It's kind of uncomfortable. And now he's taken a yes girl and brought her down to being a maybe girl. And if you don't know, this is a concept where a yes girl is someone who's very receptive right when you approach, someone who just whatever you say, they're down with it, right? They're open to it. Maybe girl is someone who gives you a bit to work with, but they're not all over you. It's not entirely sure whether they like you or whether they don't. And then a no girl is someone who's like, I have a boyfriend, or, fuck off, or whatever. Someone who's just not receptive at all. So he's actually done something that's kind of impressive. Taking a yes girl to a maybe girl is very uncalibrated, right? What he did was very uncalibrated, very unnecessary, very just awkward and bad. Now, the rest of the interaction was actually pretty solid. It was good, but this part is really bad. Now, I do want to caveat, I do want to give him the benefit of the doubt that maybe he's just doing this for the camera because he wants to get a cool clip, right? Maybe that's the reason he's doing it. And he wouldn't have done it otherwise, but his level of social awareness of realizing whether it was going to work or not was very off, right? Like, I can't remember the last time that I tried to kiss a girl and it didn't happen, because you get a better sense for it. You just get a certain feeling. The more you do it, you can tell when it's on. And for some reason, he thought it was time to go for that when it wasn't. And now she's significantly less receptive, and the chances of her flaking are much higher.
If you want to come out, come out. And if you don't, that's okay. I'll knock. If I don't see you there,
it's good that he's being non-needy there, saying it's okay. It's not a big deal if you don't want to come out.
And I knock on your door on Friday with your suitcase, and you go, okay, hi James, and get in, and I zip it up, and we go. Yeah, it's okay.
And what are you doing?
Tonight,
No.
I'm drinking probably beer. Maybe it's too hot for wine, you know.
Naturally.
I work in London as a broker,
Okay.
but I travel a lot. I love to travel. That's my thing, travel. I meet new people and stuff.
And you're spending 5 days in each?
Here is shorter because I have to work in Warsaw. It's a shame.
Warsaw?
Yeah, I go to Warsaw after on Friday until Tuesday, and then I go back to London.
Okay.
Yeah, it's sad. But maybe there's a strike on the, apparently they have a strike in the airport. I'm fly back to London, so maybe I'm trapped in Warsaw, which would be weird. We'll see what happens.
Which would be great.
Why? You don't live in Warsaw.
You should stay here.
What, just here with you? Oh, forever and ever. Yeah. We can live in the castle.
Why not?
We can live in the castle there. Well, we'll see what happens, you know. If you decide to come out for a drink, then we can talk.
That's just life.
Yeah, it is life.
Life's strange. It was nice to meet you. No, come
What? What's wrong with this? What's wrong?
on. No, 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 no.
Okay, I'm gonna message
Hug
you.
me.
I'm gonna message you.
Hug me.
No, I'm not gonna hug you.
Why?
I'll see you later, because I've got to leave you wanting more.
No.
Yeah.
Jesus
No.
Christ.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
It's
Okay. I mean,
Okay.
Hear me?
you got tiny
Damn,
peck.
You're hot. I'll message
You
you.
too.
I'll message you.
Yeah, that was kind of cringe. The way he's just being way overly persistent and going for it too much when she's pulling away. Don't do that. Don't do that. The first 85% of the interaction was definitely solid, and there was nothing bad about it. It was a little bit boring, a little bit safe, but overall he had strong intent. He came across as confident. He took the lead. It was good. That last part, very, very bad. That last part, really uncalibrated, really just showing low empathy, low awareness. He should be pulling back and then going for it, not just trying to kiss again and again and again, doing the same thing again and again when it didn't work. You want to go a different route, right? You want to take a step back and go a different route, not just try the same thing that isn't working. That just gets more and more resistance, and it makes it uncomfortable. That last part was really bad. The rest was good. But overall, if we're going to compare the two, and I've seen a lot of clips of both these guys, I'm not just judging based on these clips to be clear, but I don't want to make this video 3-4 hours. I mean, actually, let me know in the comment section below, would you rather me make these coach versus coach videos, much longer and more in depth, make them, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 hours long, where we really go over, all the details, all the clips, and just go deeper with it? Let me know in the comment section below. Also, let me know in the comment section below, who do you want to see featured in this series next, in the coach versus coach series next? Let me know who you want me to critique. But with that said, Austen Summers was clearly better overall. All right, it looks like my light just died, but whatever, we'll keep going. We'll wrap this up. So Austen Summers was definitely wittier. His vocal tonality, the way he spoke, was just a lot more engaging, a lot more passionate, a lot more emotional. They both did a good job at a lot of the same things, taking the lead, strong intent, things like that. But there's just more for the girl to play back in her mind in a positive way and to remember about Austen's interaction, as opposed to James, where the girl's last memory is him being way too handsy, way too aggressive, and her pulling back and being like, no, thank you, I'm not ready for this. Clearly she was attracted, but he's not building attraction. He's like reducing attraction and making her more and more resistant and more likely to flake, especially being aware that he's in a more conservative culture. That makes it even worse. So that's just really not good what he did at the end. And so it's pretty clear that overall, Austen Summers' interaction is better. He also, in terms of receipts, he has a lot more infield pulls. He has a lot more makeouts, things like that, whereas James Tusk just shows numbers. James Tusk does a lot of things right. Overall, he's pretty solid, but the difference between someone who's great at something and someone who's just pretty good at something is someone who's great at something is unique. They stand out. They're different. Like a great guitarist or a great band, you can tell their sound right away. It's different from everyone else, as opposed to someone who's a pretty good guitarist, they will sound generic. And that's kind of the difference here between James and Austen, is that James Tusk, most of what he did until the last part was solid, but there's nothing that really stands out or is particularly unique, whereas Austen Summers is a lot more engaging and memorable. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see my breakdowns of my own infield footage, and not just footage, but actual pulls all the way from approaching the girl to taking her home, then click the link below to get a copy of my online course, God Mode, which has over 5 hours of infield that is not just approaches, but complete pulls from start to finish.